It's 4thDownTalk, get ready for the play. Football insights, we're here to say. From kickoff to the final whistle blow, we break it down just so you know. 4thDownTalk, we're in the zone. Football, passion, heart, and soul. Tune in now, it's time to see the game we love, our destiny. 4thDownTalk, we're in the zone. Football, passion, heart, and soul. Tune in now, it's time to see the game we love, our destiny.
And just like that, we're back at it again. Welcome back to 4thDownTalk, the show where every down counts, so does your opinion. My name is Albert, also known as ABM, and we're back here with my boy Chris, Extra Crispy. Chris, tell him how you doing today.
It is Monday morning. The Niners bye week is over. After the Buccaneers lose once tonight, I'm going to prepare for them to lose on Sunday. We can get into the details of that soon. I'm just saying Tampa Bay, it's going to be a bad week for you. Sorry.
Well, we are definitely going to talk about the game that's going to be happening tonight against the Buccaneers, going against the Chiefs. We're also going to be talking about a couple of games over this past weekend. We're going to be talking about the Lions victory. We're going to be talking about the Saints changes. We're going to be talking about the Cowboys woes. We're going to cover all that today. But first, let's go ahead and get started with our first topic, which is going to be the Detroit Lions, who secured a crucial 24-14 victory over the Green Bay Packers in a pivotal NFC North matchup. The Lions' dominant performance was highlighted by their strong defensive efforts that stifled that Packers offense, turnovers, and limited all type of scoring opportunities. Chris, I got to ask you, was this just a dominant win by the Lions, or was this just really a floundering act by the Packers?
Is there a way it can be a little bit of both? Because I think it's a little bit of both. But if you're going to ask me, 60-40, maybe 70-30, this is just the Lions. The Lions offense this season has been on another level. I don't understand where this came from. We've seen glimpses since they've had Ben Johnson and they've been putting this team together. But this offensive showcase is just, it's fascinating to watch. Jared Goff's efficiency has been through the roof. He's very quietly having 70, 80% completion games. It's not really getting any credit for it. It was highlighted on their win over the Cowboys, where Jared only threw for less than 100 yards or something in that game, but he had 5 touchdowns. And now the scoreboard yesterday, it said, 24-14? It belies how offensively dominant the Lions are. Easily the best team in the conference. I don't care that they have a loss. They're hard to stop. But when you focus on the other side, it's the Packers. What is the Packers' identity? They don't have one. That's the thing. They have this very solid group of really good young wide receivers. You got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Dontavius Wicks. They have a good setup. They have Josh Jacobs at running back. They have Jordan Love. But the question is, every time the game starts, what Jordan Love am I getting? Am I getting the Jordan Love who's going to be like Brett Favre at his worst? Or am I going to get Jordan Love who looks like he sat behind Aaron Rodgers at his best for 3 seasons? It's a mixed bag because the Packers are an outdoor team. The Lions are an indoor team. So with the rain pouring as hard as it was yesterday, I thought for sure this favors the Packers. Josh Jacobs was going to run a lot. They're not going to throw the ball a lot. Instead, they couldn't get out of their own way, and they lost. And a loss right now in that division is kind of hard to deal with. It kind of knocks you out from possible division winner to maybe hoping for a wild. This is a dominant showing by the Lions. And until someone shows me otherwise, I think they're the team to beat. The NFC could run through Detroit. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's a very fair point. You talk about how bad the Packers were. You don't know what type of Jordan Love you're getting. That is a very good question because, I don't know. A part of me is thinking to myself, Jordan Love came into this game without having a full set of practice because of the groin injury. Plus, you had the rain that was also playing against them. I don't know. It almost felt like in the second half of that game, they probably should have taken Jordan Love out. But you make a strong case about the Lions, about how dominant they are. Best team in the NFC, possibly the best team in football. We can't talk about that offensive flurry without mentioning some of the top receivers to some degree. St. Brown, get this, 5 straight games of 100% completions. We're talking about 30 completions altogether. This team is clicking on all cylinders. They have everything working in their favor from the offensive to the defensive side. Based on all that, are they really the best team, not just in NFC, but the best team in football?
It's really hard to argue right now that they're not the best team in football. Because even without their star defender, Aiden Hutchinson, they've given up a few more points per game, yeah, but they just score. That's the thing. It doesn't seem to matter what they give up on defense because they're just going to score on the offense. And if they don't score on the offense, they're going to score on special teams. And if you mess around just a little bit too much, those other defenders you didn't think about, like your Brian Branch, shout out to Brian Branch, by the way. Kid is good. He will pick that ball off, and next thing you know, they're just going to have it again. Speaking of funny stats, they have possibly the best 1-2 punch at running back in the league, at David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. And whenever both of them score, they just don't lose. When they both score a touchdown, the Lions are almost always undefeated. It's really wild. Like I said before, I will stick with this, and you could call this the 49er fan / hater in me. The Lions' biggest adversary is their coach and the fact that they're the Lions. Because right now, all of Dan Campbell's gambles are coming up good. But the house always wins, Dan. Don't forget that. The house is going to win. You're going to gamble when you don't need to, just like in the NFC title game, which I'm glad you did, but don't let it bite you in the ass twice.
That is a tough thing to try to get over, especially if you are hoping for this team to be successful, whether or not the coach can possibly coach him out of it. He does take a lot of risks, though. But you know what? High risk, high reward, right?
It works. When it works, it looks great. But when it doesn't work, never forget. And I know this was last season's NFC title game. They were up on us 24-7. That's almost a death knell for most teams. Yes, but because they got gambly on 2 drives that had 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, instead of taking the field goal, he went for the points and he lost both times. If he had taken the field goal both times, maybe they don't lose by 3. Maybe they win by 6.
Man, possibly. Well, if you put that in perspective, then, is there a team that you feel like could play a strong spoiler for the Lions just getting through the playoffs? We talk about possibly the best team in the NFL, but let's take it back to just the NFC. Is there an NFC team that you see can give them troubles that no one's really thinking about, or maybe just kind of waiting on?
I would have to take a look at the Lions' schedule to see if they have that. There's always that one game on everyone's schedule that you just kind of overlook, but then you play them, and then they just smack you right in the mouth. Let's see.
I'll give you the rest of the schedule. They got Houston coming up next, playing in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, Texas. Then you have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel like you start checking these games off. You have the Indianapolis Colts, who don't really talk about how losing an identity to the Packers. They don't really. It's still kind of questionable. Their identity, they just benched Richardson. You don't have Flacco. You got Chicago, Packers. So those are 2 divisional games. You go to the Bills.
Oh, I see that game.
All right. Then you get to the Bears again, 49ers. And your close will quite possibly could be the big spoiler. Old Mr. Pumpkin Patch. At least everyone's waiting on old Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold? I'm looking at this schedule, and it's a good thing the Lions are good. Because after the Texans, then the Jags, and I don't know, that mystery game could be the Colts. Because I tell you one thing, if old man Joe is going to do one thing, he's going to sling that ball up and down that field as much as he can. Doesn't matter. He will just chuck it. So I don't know. That could be one of those trap games. But looking at their schedule after that, divisional, AFC powerhouse, divisional, NFC contender, divisional. That's a lot to throw at the end of the season. And divisional games, this is what happened to the Lions and Packers last year. Last season, the first time the Lions and Packers played, the Lions kind of punched them in the face. And they were like, whoa, wait a minute. We're not sure if we can handle all this. But then come around the second time, which was on Thanksgiving, Jordan Love went into Detroit and they took a W, a pretty dominant win over them in Detroit. So I think they end up splitting. You could split with the Packers. The Bears is the real question mark here because I thought the Bears had a good defense, and then I saw yesterday's game, so maybe I don't know. I'm a little up in the air on the Bears team right now. But that Bills game is where I'm going to put my money because the Lions have not faced, looking at their schedule, I don't know, they did beat the Cardinals.
Yep.
I was going to say they have not faced a quarterback like Josh Allen.
I mean, like a mobile type QB, someone who can really run around, and they won't be. No, you're right. They haven't faced anyone, and Jordan Love has a groin injury. They didn't go against Malik.
Yeah, funnily enough, every game that the Packers have lost has been started by Jordan Love.
Maybe he's not that founder. Maybe the Packers are finally in that position that so many other teams have faced. Maybe they're about to start going through a quarterback drought.
I mean, if Jordan Love misses more time this year, because that groin injury could be something to monitor, and Malik Willis continues to win, you could legitimately have a quarterback controversy at some point. Because if he keeps playing and he keeps winning, but you're not winning with the same team, what's the problem, Jordan? We just gave you all this money. We gave you like $200 million, bro. Like, what are you doing?
You got to step up, right? Got to be that guy. Well, hey, you know what, people? Tell us what you think. Do you think the Lions are a true contender? Do you think they're a pretender? Or Fugazi? Right? Which one do you think it is? Do you think they're legitimate? But keeping it in the NFC, we're going to head down to a couple of transitions that happened as far as the coaching seating. We're talking about the Saints. The Saints looked disastrous. Talk about bad. You had Michael Thomas going on Twitter, running down his QB. In the midst of all that, they get beat by arguably the worst team in all of sports. Forget football, just sports. They end up firing in the coach. Chris, what the hell is going on with the Saints?
Saints, man, week 1, they put 40 plus on Carolina. Now, granted, Carolina wasn't supposed to be very good. Everyone said that was a strong start. Week 2, 40 plus points on the Cowboys. They were 2-0. That was the last game they won. They have lost 7 straight games, and it's hard because their defense on paper looks good, and they start games looking good. But what happens to the offense? They don't know what to do when they get pressured. When the game is flowing and they're up, they can run the ball with Kamara and give you a little fake and toss the ball downfield when they need to a Jawan or Chris Olave. We'll get on him in a second. They're rolling. But when they have a team that won't let them just pull away by 10 or more points, and they have to stay in each drive, Derek Carr stalls. That car is not shifting in the drive because he can't seem to do it. He doesn't seem to get the ball where he needs to when he has to. When it's just the first part of the game or a late part of the game in garbage time, and he can kind of do whatever, kind of like another quarterback I know in a different conference, same conference. But when he has the game on the line, I'm not counting on Derek Carr because he's not going to get the job done. And Dennis Allen was definitely not getting the job done. But were they fool's gold, or were they just run into two teams who were less, more inept than they were? Because that's what it kind of looks like. Because they did lose to the Panthers, which is a crazy thing to say in 2024. They lost to the Carolina Panthers, starting Bryce Young, by the way.
Yeah, no, Andy Dalton. That was Bryce Young in there.
But
close game, though.
It was a 1-point game, and they did lose Chris Olave in the process. So let's focus on what Michael Thomas had to say, because he went on a rant. Mid-game, he was just running down all the reasons why he didn't like Derek Carr, he didn't like the team, and the organization was bad for picking him. And that's why they're bad without him.
He did go on a strong rant. He ran Derek Carr into the ground. I mean, do you even like that from the optics? Do you appreciate if your if your receiver were to go on social media and run down the QB in the middle of the game?
No, that's a bad look. It's a bad order. As another analyst, I would like to say, it's bad vibes. The vibes around the team are bad. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying they're going to move someone like Alvin Kamara. I don't see that happening. But I would not be surprised if they sell any pieces they can between now and tomorrow when the deadline hits. Because they're 2-7. They're not making the playoffs. It's just not happening. The Falcons are infinitely better than they are. If you're losing to the Carolina Panthers in 2024, I'm just going to say it's probably a safe bet you're not making the playoffs unless they got lucky on you.
Oh.
So try again next year. I mean, I'm interested to see who they pick up as a coach if they don't just announce like an interim coach or something. But who are they picking up? Are they picking up Bill Belichick? No, it's not happening. I saw a tweet about that this morning. They're not getting Bill Belichick. Just get that out your system. They're not getting Robert Saleh. Would he even help? He's currently a consultant in Green Bay. Let's check on that offense real quick. I don't know who the Saints are going to get, but they are not set up for future success right now. Chris Olave is on arguably his second or third concussion since he's gotten in the league. They don't really have any other stars outside of Alvin Kamara on offense. I mean, who scares you? If you were a defensive coordinator and you saw the Saints coming up, who are you game planning for outside of Alvin Kamara? Nobody.
Well, that's true because Olave, he's not going to be playing. Alvin Kamara, he's going to be out. Michael Thomas don't want to play. That's a good point.
I guess Taysom Hill.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, right. The gadget player, the Swiss Army knife. That's the thing about it. It's not okay. It happens at times, but usually coaches don't always get fired in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
In any event where a coach does get fired in the middle of the season, that usually means the team is tanking. Oh, maybe not even tanking, but their chances are completely done. I mean, you mentioned it before. How? What do you do? Who do you go after? I think at this point they're taking in the coordinator. Someone's replacing him. Intern is replacing him, but where do you go from here? Do you just blow the whole thing up? Do you move off of these people? Do you start from the bottom, or do you just kind of look at it, recalibrate, just get a new coach and hope for the best? Michael Thomas, who was on Twitter, has stated they fired all them coaches trying to cover up his flaws, and he's still doing the same thing. And it's like something isn't meshing well. And you talk about the vibes are off. Something has to change. You got to move
Bad
personnel.
vibes. You got to blow it up because Derek Carr. How long? When did Derek Carr get drafted? 2016, I believe.
Yeah, that was a big season for the Raiders. Remember, they claimed they were back, and Derek Carr had all this praise.
Yeah, Derek Carr is gone. Amari Cooper is gone. Khalil Mack is gone. Devontae Adams is gone. Everyone is gone from the Raiders.
That's a whole different dumpster fire.
But Derek Carr, we've seen him. We know what he is. We've seen him on different teams now. He's not taking you to the Super Bowl. He's not. So blow it up, Saints. Rebuild. Look at your quarterbacks now. A lot of people were really happy they picked up Spencer Rattler, the former Gamecock. So you can try to build around him because the fans will at least be supportive of it. If the fans like your guy, they'll let you build around him. But Alvin Kamara, how much time does he have left? Like, realistically speaking, if you're the Saints right now, do you keep Alvin Kamara or do you see if you can get rid of him, get some decent trade capital out of it, and try to get picks for next year?
Yeah, you know what? When you say it out loud, that sounds like something the Panthers tried to do, and we see how that's working out.
They had Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore in Carolina. That's all I'm saying.
I know. It's not working out. But you know what? Talk about coaches' firings and whether or not that can help save a team or dismantle a team or even restart a team. You got to bring up the Cowboys for a moment. Because of that fiasco that happened against the Falcons, Mike McCarthy throwing tablets, Dak Prescott, we fucking suck. There is nothing positive coming out of this organization. Should they consider letting go of Mike McCarthy?
Consider it. I was advocating for them to fire Mike McCarthy weeks ago.
Oh, well, let me rephrase the question. Should they consider letting him go before the end of the season?
The easy answer is yes. They should say, yeah, just get rid of Mike McCarthy, bring in somebody else, because surely that'll fix this team. But I feel like I've heard this before. I feel like I heard this with Wade Phillips. I feel like I heard this with Jason Garrett. And I feel like I'm hearing it again with Mike McCarthy. It's the same story. Because there's one common denominator, Dallas. Your coach is not your problem. Your, depending on who you ask, overpaid quarterback is not your problem. Your problem is Jerry Jones. Now, to borrow a quote from CM Punk, maybe this organization will be better when Jerry Jones is dead. But I don't know. Right now, he's a problem. The GM and the owner, and every week I have to see you. I got to be honest with you. Sometimes I forget what Mike McCarthy sounds like because they don't talk to him. They talk to Jerry Jones. All I see at the podium every game is Dak Prescott saying we need to play better. And then a bunch of microphones in Jerry's face as he's walking out of some office or something saying how disappointed he is, the fans, we're going to do better. And then he goes on his own radio station and threatens them, saying you better talk better about the Cowboys or maybe we don't have you guys around much longer. He's a problem, all right? He needs to go. I don't know if he needs to just take a step back, but he needs to hire a GM, be an owner, and shut his fucking mouth. That's what he needs to do. If he doesn't do those things, the Cowboys, they're not going anywhere. You have a serviceable quarterback. Can Dak get the job done? I think he can. I think he could actually do it if he has the right team around him. We've seen the numbers. If he has a solid running back, he does better. If his run game works, his passing game works too. Now, Jerry Jones, you had the opportunity to get Derrick Henry. He was right there. The Ravens are paying him 2 years, $16 million. You couldn't afford that? You couldn't afford $16 million for 2 years to get Derrick Henry, who clearly has gas in the tank. Instead, you picked up the corpse of Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook's on life support. Like, this is not going to work, Jerry. You can't do this. Blow it up. You're not winning the division. The Commanders are not, they're 7-2. You're not catching them. The Eagles are 6-2, I believe. You're not catching them either. You're 3-5. I don't know what else to tell you. Unless they can trade for somebody, but where's the money coming from? Because Jerry Jones said he didn't have the money for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, and even if you trade for someone, who are you going to trade for? Like, who are you picking up even in that case?
Who's going to give you somebody that's going to turn your team around that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg? Because those options just aren't out there. What receiver are you going to pick up unless he's a rookie, some kind of underused someone on a team? Like, there's a guy I like on the Panthers, Jonathan Mingo. They're not going to pick him up.
Oh.
They're not going to pick him up. Who are you going to get? T. Higgins? He wants $98 million to be a wide receiver somewhere else. He's already mad he's not the star next to Jamar Chase. None of the other big name wide receivers are going to go anywhere. You just gave CeeDee Lamb his money, and you gave Dak his money. You still haven't paid Micah Parsons. What are you guys?
Right.
You know what? Blow it up. Sell Micah to another team. Get a bunch of picks out of it, and see how you do after that. Because he wasn't helping the defense when he was there. He damn sure isn't helping him when he's off the field. Sell Micah for a first-round pick and start over. All right? Keep Dak because you have to. Keep CeeDee because you have to. Or trade for a running back. But then that question becomes, what team's going to give you a running back? That's valid. That's a viable option. Because who? Who is it? Where are they? Because they're not on the waiver wire. I'll tell you that much. I should be reveling in the Cowboys' downfall, but I'm just frustrated that a team with this much talent is going to waste because their owner won't stop being the geriatric egomaniac that he is. All right? I've seen this story play out with a man named Vince McMahon. It didn't end well for him. Jerry, you're in a bad company to be in, buddy. Dallas, as much as I love the fact you guys are losing, it makes me sad the way you're losing. So just start losing like a normal team and just start sucking, all right? Don't.
Well, they're doing a good job of that. They're losing like a normal team in the worst way. But you know what? I'm going to go a different direction. I'm going to say, yeah, fire Mike McCarthy. And the only reason why is because I got to say, of all the years I witnessed Dallas fans be who they are, this is the first time I've seen Dallas fans be so somber and downtrodden,
Right?
disappointed. I've never witnessed Dallas fans be so disenfranchised. So I'm saying from a standpoint, from an optics point of view, fire Mike McCarthy. Let the fan base know, hey, we hear you. We know what's going on. We're going to do a change. And then right when you think that change is coming, they're going to pull a Madden on you and give you the same thing they've been giving you for the same 20 years. But hey, all we did, we got rid of the coach. Well, look at this. We're making some changes. Did they overpay for Dak? Probably. Do they have personnel they need to get rid of? More than likely. But you know what? Jerry's not going anywhere. The best you can do is just get rid of Mike McCarthy and hope for the best. I don't know who you get, but
at least hire an offensive coordinator, because they made a pretty big deal about the fact that last season, going into this season, Mike McCarthy was going to call the plays. Well, it's not working, Mike. Your play calling is very similar to when you were in Green Bay. Fuck it, Devontae's down there somewhere. Now it's just CeeDee Lamb. All right, CeeDee Lamb's open somewhere. We're just gonna throw him the ball. When they played against us, CeeDee Lamb had 17 targets. That's an insane number for one receiver to have, and you still lost. All right, he caught 13 of them. He had 2 touchdowns, mainly because our defense was being stupid. Had our defense been paying attention, and Charvarius Ward, now that we know what he was going through, I'm so sorry, Charvarius, for anything bad that I said about you, knowing what you're going through. But the blown coverage touchdown was a blown coverage touchdown. CeeDee Lamb or bust is the Cowboys offense. That's not sustainable for anybody. People joke about Patrick Mahomes, but it wasn't just Patrick and Travis last year. He had viable options somewhere, but Brandon Cooks is hurt. Zeke can't run. Dalvin Cook can't run. Rico Dowdle can't run. There's nothing there. They'd have to trade for a running back. And I don't know a single team that's going to give up a viable running back right now that's already not in a position to do it. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
No, that's a good point. And when you mentioned the whole, his coaching style is very similar to that of Green Bay, you can make a case that that's one of the reasons Aaron Rodgers wanted to get away from him. I find this very funny. When Mike McCarthy was in the final days of Green Bay, they were talking like his coaching style was a bit dated, that he wasn't able to keep up with a lot of what was going on in the transition. This is when Sean McVay was coming in and all that. And now here we are, we're seeing remnants of what he had already been practicing in Green Bay being happening in Dallas, but he doesn't have the personnel they had in Green Bay in that case.
No, he does not.
You can say it could be better, but I mean, honestly, It's just not gelling, and something has to change.
People could disagree about this, but Dak, even at his peak season, is not beating out Aaron Rodgers in his prime. That's not happening.
No, that's fair. Dak, what? He was in the MVP conversation for maybe about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it went out for a while because, I mean, Dak is who he is. Like, Dak is who Dak is.
The more you think about it, though, maybe you're right. Maybe he is just playing like he did in Green Bay, because what was Aaron Rodgers' biggest gripe in Green Bay is that his defense couldn't be counted on when he needed it to. And this season has been one of the worst defensive seasons I've seen for Dallas. And they have their pieces. Diggs is on the field. Well, Bland's not on the field now. Okay, maybe they are missing people, because last year they had Bland but no Diggs. This year they have Diggs but no Bland, and now Micah Parsons is hurt. But even then, I don't think they should be giving up 40 points a game. Like, what are you guys doing? You let the Saints put up 40 on you, the Lions put up 40 on you, the Niners put up 30, the Ravens put up almost 30. You let Kirk Cousins almost put up 30 on you. What are you guys doing? Where's the urgency? Are you even playing like you care? I remember when I played. Now, granted, I never passed anything but high school football, so no one flamed me for that. But coach would pull you if you were playing like you didn't care. And what I see a lot of on the field on defense, especially when you get into the third and fourth quarters of these games, the defenders are walking around, their hands on their hips. They don't care anymore. Like, okay, we're going to lose. Big deal. Whatever. I got paid next week. It's not a good vibe.
No, that's another one that doesn't have a good vibe either. Yeah, I'm not sure. Cowboys and the Saints are two teams that are in great disarray.
I still think they don't.
Much to change them.
I still think blowing it up, I'm going to say I don't think they should. I'd say if I'm a betting man, it's more likely Jerry Jones makes a last-ditch effort to bring in somebody rather than blow up the team like he knows he should, because he's going to be in denial about the season being over. Newsflash, Jerry, the season's over, buddy. Like, you're not beaten out. Okay, so the season's not officially over, and they're 3-5. I can't say that because they're 3-5, they won't make the playoffs, because, hey, my team was 3-5 and they made it to the NFC title.
You want to look at the rest of the Cowboys schedule? I mean, they got Philadelphia coming up next.
They have not played them yet. And that's a big deal.
This will be the first game against them. Next game will be a battle in Texas. Houston versus Dallas. And then, they got to face the Commanders. I don't like that game for them. Commanders don't look too bad. They get the Giants. They get the Bengals. You would think they get a good game against the Panthers, but I mean, look, we just saw what happened to the Saints. You get the Bucks, you get the Eagles again, and they close it out with the Commanders.
Man, they have not really played any real divisional games outside the Giants.
Yeah, that's the sad thing about it. They hadn't even got to their divisional opponents yet, and already they're not doing too well. So it doesn't look good for them.
Not good timing on the Eagles game for them either, because the Cowboys are on a losing streak while the Eagles are on a winning streak. And what is the Cowboys' biggest weakness right now? They can't stop the run. Here comes a runner that they know very well in Saquon Barkley. And Saquon has been on a tear.
Oh,
Man.
Talk about that play he had this past week. Man's hurling over people backwards.
How do you hurdle over someone backwards?
You just push all the buttons and hope for the best. Love it.
Couldn't pull that off in Madden if I wanted to, all right?
Seriously. Oh, but we're going to move on. We're going to actually go ahead and talk about tonight's game because it's the last game of the week. This is the big game. Maybe it's a big game. I don't know. But you're going to have the Kansas City Chiefs host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football. It's a clash of two storied franchises. Well, one's building a story. Yeah. The other one's kind of recuperating from their last story that Brady left open. Bucks coming in with none of their receivers up and running. They're kind of hobbling on some spare tires. But you got the Chiefs looking strong, trying to maintain their undefeated record and solidify their position as a true Super Bowl contender. I know I asked you who has this game. But let me ask you, since this last time we talked about it, has your chances of wins and losses differ? Or you still got the Chiefs?
I think smart money, Vegas money, still has Kansas City, and there's no reason to not have Kansas City right now. It's just Buccaneers, man. Two of your best people are out. And the thing is, Mike Evans' issue is a hamstring issue, so there's no telling when he's going to be 100% again. He's missing at least 4 games, they said. So at the very least, he comes back week 11, week 12, and Godwin's out likely for the rest of the season. which sucks because they lost both of them in the same game.
Same game, right?
Had both of them been healthy, I could have said this is going to be a shootout. This could be one where the Chiefs actually do have to wake up, like they did against the Raiders. They actually did kind of wake up for a second there. But otherwise, unless we get some fluke defense plays, because the defense isn't terrible in Tampa Bay, no, there's no reason to not pick the Chiefs here. I would love it if Baker Mayfield just balled out, threw for like 300 yards, and actually made Mahomes actually have to play for a little bit, but given the running games not being what they need it to be, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out, I don't know how well the new receivers are. That could be a mystery factor. Reed's never had to coach against them. He doesn't know what to expect. But no, it's until someone shows me otherwise. The undefeated Chiefs are still undefeated. Now, if you said if it was Kansas City, Detroit, maybe we could have a conversation, but not Kansas City.
That's a possible Super Bowl matchup. You mentioned about how the Chiefs had to wake up against the Raiders. Do you feel like they are sleepwalking for most of the season, that they hadn't even hit that next gear? Could they go undefeated if possible?
This would be the worst scenario for a team to go undefeated in, because this would be the most debated undefeated team forever. Patrick Mahomes statistically is playing poorly. For him, he is playing poorly. His touchdown interception ratio has never been this bad. He's not in the top for yards. He's not in the top for yards per attempt. Completion percentage is not great. Its yards in the air aren't great, but they're undefeated for the first time in his career. It's incredibly fascinating how the worse he plays, the better the team gets. I don't get it. Travis Kelce scored his first touchdown of the year last week. They have to be sleepwalking on offense. They don't have Pacheco. Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't even really been there. They're running with Kareem Hunt and a guy named Carson Steele, I believe, is the running back that they have. They don't have Rashee Rice. He's hurt. They have Xavier Worthy, who they use as a gadget guy, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Mecole Hardman. On paper, that doesn't scare anybody. But because it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and shout out to Steve Spagnuolo, this team doesn't have to play until the defense decides they want to. I mean, between the fact that they don't let you run on them, it's hard to pass on them, and Spags is probably the best defense disguiser outside of Brian Flores, who is starting to get figured out. Vikings ain't looking too great, but man, that Chiefs team, we got to do a 30 for 30 on them, because this doesn't make sense, man. This doesn't add up.
No, you're absolutely right. Just to kind of deep dive into it a little bit, Patrick Mahomes is not having the best season he's having so far. He is 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He is averaging 235 yards per game. Understand, that's the lowest he's ever averaged throughout his entire career. Mm-hmm. He is not really lighting up the charts. Now, mind you, this would be good for almost any other QB, but because it's Patrick Mahomes, it's just not up to par for him. But yet, somehow, still undefeated, still maintaining, it almost feels as if they are just a juggernaut that hasn't even awakened yet, while the other side of the spectrum is the Lions, who feel like a juggernaut. For me personally, I'm waiting for them to stumble.
Yeah.
And that's only because I'm just so, I'm jaded.
It's the Lions. Lions.
I just can't put that much faith into them to that degree. But I don't know. I would love to see a matchup with these two teams. Until it says otherwise, I do feel as if the Chiefs are the team to beat.
Well, you don't
if
count
no one else.
You don't count their Week 1 2023 matchup. That's what I see on the interwebs. Or the Lions beat them in Week 1 last year. Dude, that was last season. 2 different teams, Week 1, and no Travis Kelce. So no, I don't want to hear that. No.
I mean, Week 1. I'm sorry, that is officially a year ago. So much has changed since then, so it's not even new.
Like, if Patrick Mahomes' individual numbers were swapped with Joe Burrow's numbers this year, then them being undefeated would make sense, and Cincinnati struggling would make sense. But these tale of 2 quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes playing poorly for him, Joe Burrow playing really well for him, but they're 2 teams having 2 very different records. That's a very fascinating study right there. If Patrick Mahomes had come out after Alex Smith left, and this was his first season, people would say he's getting carried. But that's the thing. We can't say the 3-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 2-time MVP. We can't say that he's being carried. Like, it's so frustrating. I want to hate it, but I'm also, it's like a car crash I can't look away from. I just forced to watch the Chiefs play, and it's annoying.
Well, you know what? I understand it leaves you in a bad mood, but you know what? I want to try to lift your spirits and everyone else. What do you have as the best of the weekend?
Man, best of the weekend? I mean, the Lions looked good, but I don't like the circumstances around it. But I will say, just for the boost of confidence to him, I'm going to say my best of the weekend was watching Bryce Young get a win. Because Bryce Young, if anybody needed a win for his psyche, and because I was feeling so bad for this kid. Honestly, I still think he's got a lot of work to do. I think he's still too small, and I think that's part of the problem for me. But watching him smile after the game, like just be excited about actually winning something for once, because think about it. This is his second season. This is the fourth time he's seen a win. Four.
Yeah, right.
Chiefs have won 8 games this season, and he's seen 4 in 2 seasons. Best moment of the week, just for heartwarming sake. But also, as much as I hate praising my own division, that catch to seal the win against the Seattle Seahawks for the Rams, that one-handed Demarcus Robinson catch, I got to give a nod. That was really good. I was like, man, I hate that Stafford can do that, but he can. When he needs to put that ball somewhere, he'll do it. Ugh, I hate praising the Rams.
I hear you. I'm going to give my best for the week.
Yeah.
And it ain't over the weekend. It was actually just last week. I'm praising the Jets.
Okay.
The Jets have been horrible for as bad as they are, but they snapped their losing streak. The Jets have been on like a 5-game losing streak. Things are finally turning on. Aaron Rodgers' performance shows that he still has some flashes of his former self. I mean, granted, it is only flashes. The defense, particularly the pass rush, looked more aggressive and affected the pressure of the Texans quarterback or C.J. Stroud a little bit more. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a hope for the future that they're going to be able to compete because they're still so far down in the division and conference at least. But it's good to finally see some positive out of all of this mess that they have been for the entire season. I'm going to give a nod to them.
You know what? I'm not going to argue with that because Aaron Rodgers finally had a solid game where they did still have to overcome some nonsense because Greg Zuerlein missed both a field goal and an extra point. So they had to, that's 4 points he left on the table, and they still managed to pull out a win. So you know what? You're right. We'll give the Jets their due.
Gang green.
But until they do it again, can you put 2 games together, Jets? Can you put 2 games together?
I mean, look, it's little by little, man. You can only take one foot in front of the other, step by step, day by day.
Also, real quick, going back to mine, the other reason I want to give a shout out to Bryce Young for getting this win is because not only did he do that, but he lost one of his receivers too. Deontay Johnson, before the game, had been shipped off to Baltimore. So that was another piece he didn't have. And they managed to build up for the future. So the Panthers, I'm not saying the future looks incredibly bright, but sometimes all you need to see is that little spark to get something going. And they had a spark. They beat a divisional opponent. Are they going to win the division? No, they're not winning the division. But can they do something good? Speaking of doing something good, Jets, I'm looking at the schedule here, and it would appear that the Jets' next game is against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. So, Jets, come here. I need to talk to the New York Jets and their fans for just a second. Aaron, I know we don't see eye to eye, but you just had your win. I need you to put 2 together, man. Yes, I'm speaking as a biased 49ers fan. I need you to go into Arizona and remind Kyler Murray that the new Black Ops is out and have him focus on that and win so that we can take our rightful place closer to the top of the NFC. Can you do that for me, Aaron? I'll even throw in some ayahuasca. We'll talk after the show. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, listen here. I hear you. All I'm saying is momentum shift. We'll see. But, we did the best. I got to ask you, what do you consider to be the worst of the weekend coming out?
Worst of the weekend. There's a couple nominees. One, I don't know if you saw the whole college football celebration that led to the 2 guys in the NFL doing it. It was a player,
the little head
slid on his head.
Yeah. I'm getting tired of that already.
I'm nominating that for one of the worst because it shouldn't have been flagged, number one, but it was college. Dak getting caught saying out loud, "We fucking suck." That's not a good look, Dak. All right, I'm just going to say that's not a good look. But worst of the weekend right now for me, and maybe it's just because of Nick Wright, But the Chicago Bears, what happened? You lost on the Hail Mary last week, and that was bad, but you were in a Hail Mary loss, which means you were in it to the end. Arizona beat you by 20 points, and you're supposed to have a solid defense. Caleb Williams, when you're up, and I'm granted he's a rookie, but he is a #1 pick. He had a ton of hype coming in. When he wins, he gets all the praise. So when he loses a game like this, I'm not just going to give you the standard, oh, well, he's a rookie. No. What the hell happened? That's my worst of the week. All right? Because if you're going to get all the praise and say, oh, he's going to be this, that, and the third, when you win, you take the losses as well. So, yeah, losing by 20, almost 25 points or something to the Arizona Cardinals, no. Bad luck, Caleb. Worst look of the week.
All right. I'm going to give you one, and I'm kind of going the same route you went, from college to the pros. Again, I'm going back to the Jets game. Even though they win, I gave them praise. I'm giving them a boo, because how are you going to drop the ball before you go into the end zone? Can we talk about this for a moment? Why is this a thing that players do? Why are you relinquishing the ball as you're running into the end zone? How is this a topic every year throughout all of football? Do players not understand the dynamic of making the ball across the plane, not you?
They run over the line, and they just assume, well, my foot's over, so I'm over. No, I was always taught, you hold on to that ball until you are in the end zone. I don't care how cool you want to look, dropping the ball, thinking they look cool, dropping it as they run into the end. No, what are you doing? And you're not escaping this conversation either, Kyle Pitts. All right, because I saw that ball get knocked out of your hand because you were celebrating at like the half-yard line, but they gave it to you. All right, you got lucky. All right, but
I don't like that.
It's disgusting. All right, as a coach, I would be tearing my hair out. What are you doing?
I mean, honestly, as a coach, I would be to the point where, you know what? I'm glad you got your front end. I'm glad you enjoyed that. You're sitting out the rest of the game. You're done. I would pull a Jonas Gray Bill Belichick. You got 4 touchdowns. I think you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Well, guess what, Jonas? Now you're on the bench.
And all Jonas did was show up late to practice the next day. Yeah. And Bill said, you want to, okay, you're late? Hey, you'll never hear your name again. All right?
You never have to worry about being late again because no one's going to have to want you here, as far as I'm concerned. No, I hate that. The over-excessive celebration, I think, has a line where I don't like that term. But when you are celebrating before you're scoring, I think that is when you can definitely say it's excessive. No,
it is excessive. And then to add into that, on the excessive celebration, I've noticed there's also a big trend, a lot in college, of the celebration of lifting your shirt, pulling out a pistol, and shooting someone, and then the ref flags you, and they're looking at the ref like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that.
Do people forget that John Morant just had an entire ordeal in the NBA based on this situation, which is even dumb because when he finally was over the suspension and he pulled off a dunk or layup, he still did the gun remarks.
He did.
And they damn near suspended him again. Like, do y'all not understand what the issue is?
Because it perpetuates a horrible stereotype, right?
Yeah.
Now, the problem I have with this is that if a player then goes out and actually gets shot, people are going to say, oh, why is this happening? This is so bad. I can't believe. Well, why are you doing it on the field? Don't do that. Why is your celebration that you killed somebody? You mossing them? You can't just do the head tap or Kevin Durant, you're too small. Do something.
Right, just
don't
point to the ground, too small. Right. I like that whole bit. I like that one.
And point to the ground, you can't, on your head. I'm on your head.
No, you know what? Forget. Give me the LeBron James one with the whole thing and the boom. I don't care what you do. Just don't give me a celebration where you're trying to actually murder somebody. That's not a celebration. That's excessive.
If you're the defender, just stick to your standard, no catch, or what's the part of the seatbelt, strapped, because he's strapped.
People like to do the home run swing or the Goldberg and all that. Either way, that's my worst. Over celebration, especially when you're not even in the end zone, I just don't like it. I don't like it.
Honorable mention. I'm going to give an honorable mention in honor of excessive celebration to the college player. I can't remember his name. I'm going to have to look it up, but there was a player who did a jumping, twisting celebration when he didn't have to, and he tweaked his knee doing it. Cut the excessive celebrations out, all right?
Man, listen here. You know another reason you shouldn't excessive celebrate? When your team is still bad.
Right.
It still goes to that point, too. You can't celebrate when your record is like 2 wins, maybe 3.
One of the clips I saw, the guy was doing the straps, and he pulled out the gun because he blocked the pass. They were losing 24-7. What are you doing right now?
What are you celebrating? You can't. You have no room to celebrate if you're losing or if your team has a bad record. You need to hand the ref the ball, get back on the sideline, and get ready for the next run.
Want to do a little fist pump? That's fine. But you're
High
not
five?
Hingle McCringleberry. No thrusting. None of that. All right.
No shaboopies.
No.
For all that already. We're done
No
with all
chorus lines. I done seen bobsleds. Like, what are we doing here?
Oh, I don't like it. But
Unless you're the Lions, because Lions score often enough. Maybe they should mix it up. But unless you're them, I don't want to.
you know what? The Lions score so much and have such a strong lead, they can do an entire production of Hamlet and still not consider that a sexual celebration. I'm fine. I hate the Lions. I don't say I hate the Lions.
Nah,
No, I'm not gonna say that. They're a good team. I don't have a lot of faith that they'll win the Super Bowl.
There's teams I hate, but the Lions aren't one.
No, I don't hate the Lions. They haven't had enough success for me to just dislike them. I love the fact that people who've been fans of this team for so long are seeing them be something they haven't been in a long time. And I mean, honestly, they may win the Super Bowl. We'll see.
I mean, it's gonna be great if my team doesn't make it. I will happily root for the Lions and be real proud of them. And I'll even be saying, "Good job, guys," when they inevitably lose to Patrick Mahomes, 45-38 in the Super Bowl. Like, it's gonna be great. All right.
Hey, at least they've been someplace they never lost before. This
There
is
you
new
go.
territory for them. New territory.
So then,
Real quick. Oh,
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Real quick before we sign, I just want to point out, we didn't mention this because college football. USC, Gamecocks, they won their game.
Yeah.
Crowd stormed the field. Just saw news, Gamecocks are going to get fined $250,000 for running the field.
That's a lot of money. They didn't even do like what Vanderbilt did either. Vanderbilt took the whole goalpost down and they threw it in the river. Like, I understand that being a fine. That's destruction of property, all right? But a team just happy about a win, they're an unranked team that beat a top 10 team.
Yeah.
I think you're allowed to run on the field.
I think so too. But I guess they're afraid that if this happens now and it happens again, it could turn into that situation. So I guess nip it in the bud early. I don't know. I think South Carolina hates fun, but what do I know?
Where's that money going? That's what I want.
It's going to go into the pockets of the athletic director and the school and to the students and to the homeless shelters and to the poor people.
Okay.
It's going to all good causes.
Something tells me someone just got a new car out of it, but I don't know if that's gonna help all that much.
I'll know something's fishy if I start seeing more cyber trucks starting to roll around USC campus. Then I'll see something being fishy there.
Speaking of fines and ejections, did you happen to see that Puka Nacua got ejected in their game?
Yeah, helmet to helmet, wasn't it?
Yeah, he threw a punch, they said. He got
shoved.
He
threw a punch, that's what,
I don't know, man. I saw that footage, and again, I don't like praising the Rams too much, but I think that might have been a little bit overblown because he was definitely shoved very hard, and he turned around and retaliated. And of course, what the old adage says, the refs always get the second. They don't always get the first one. They get that second.
That is usually how it goes. But, the thing is, you got to keep your composure. Think of it like when Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson got into it. Like, yeah, Cortland was getting in his face, but you can't sit here and throw bombs at him.
Yeah, but if you get hit, I feel like you hitting someone because they hit you, well, then just fine both players.
Okay, that's fair.
Because if you go back to the Chiefs-Niners, that's what happened. The Chiefs player hit Trent. He punched Trent Williams, and Trent Williams just got up and decked him right in the face. And the referee saw that, and then they reviewed the footage, but they fined both guys, but they only ejected Trent. That's what pissed off a lot of Niners fans. If you're going to eject one, eject both guys. Because he only hit him because he got hit. Yeah.
No,
if you fined him, why didn't you eject him? See, it's fate. You know what? I'm not saying the game is rigged for the Chiefs.
No. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole because that would be a whole different thing in itself.
I did not say that.
Season.
For those in the comments, I did not say the game was rigged for the Chiefs, but I didn't not say it. But I'm also not saying that either. All right.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying that the Lions are the currently best in the conference. That's what I'm saying.
There it is. There it is. That's the statement for you. And you know what? We may have to close out on that statement. Unless there's anything else you want to go ahead and recap real quick or anything you want to get off your chest.
Let's see. Was there anything else? Trades. I just want to put one thing out that I've been seeing a lot of. This does pertain to the 49ers. Tyreek Hill. Guys, we're not getting Tyreek Hill. What do you want Tyreek Hill for? because he's a star wide receiver. He's really, really fast. That's cool. We have fast
receiver
people.
there is.
Yeah, but this is my daily hot take. All right.
Okay.
The 49ers do not need Tyreek Hill because Brock Purdy's arm does not match Tyreek Hill's speed. And Kyle Shanahan is not going to scheme it so that Brock Purdy can get the ball to Tyreek Hill. He's a $30 million wide receiver. We already have one of those. If you want Tyreek Hill that bad, is it worth giving up George Kittle and Deebo Samuel for it? Think about it. Comment about it. Because I'm going to tell you what my answer is no. If we want to trade Deebo, that's fine. Trade him in the offseason. Don't trade him right now. Keep Deebo. Keep Kittle. Keep the team you have. See if you can go on a run here. But forget about Tyreek Hill. Just don't forget about it. It didn't happen. It's not going to happen.
All right, well, we'll see if they take it. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and sign out. Again, this is your boy, ABM, with your homeboy, Chris, Extra Crispy. We'd love to see you guys join us. Hey, remember, like, subscribe, join us in the comments section where we can discuss more football, and we'll see you on the next down. Until then, have a good night.